So, Cecile, where are you from? Tell me about where you grew up.
I come from France. I was born in a small town called Épinal, which is in the northeast of France, near Germany, and it's in a department called Les Vosges. I spent the first 18 years of my life in Épinal, which is a small town, about 40,000 inhabitants.
And did you like it there?
Yeah, I loved it, because the same people in the neighbourhood were roughly the same age as me and my sister, so we used to play a lot together and we used to really get on. And even now, when I go back, for instance, at Christmas to visit my family, I still get to see them. It's not the nicest place in France in terms of climate, and that's probably why a lot of British people would not have heard of Les Vosges. It's very cold in the winter, there's loads of snow, but it's very hot in the summer, and I love the weather when it's either very hot or very cold.
Lovely. So you're fluent in English.
Okay.
Can you tell me about what were your experiences of learning a second language? Were there any things you found easy or challenging?
Mm-hmm. I started to learn German when I was 11, and then when I was 14 I learned English and Latin as well. And what I've always liked about learning languages is the grammar. Strangely, I know a lot of students don't like grammar, but I love grammar. Because I find it's very logical. It's like mathematics, so it's easy. You just have a rule and you apply it, and then there are exceptions, so you have to remember the exceptions. So I find that quite easy. It was always easier to write in a foreign language than speak, and I find, for instance, picking the accent is probably the most difficult thing to do.
And are there any British accents that you found particularly challenging?
Mm-hmm. Well, when I arrived in this country, I arrived in Birmingham, and I found the Brummie accent very difficult. But now I'm used to it, and some people say that I actually speak with a bit of a Brummie accent. I'm used to accents now. I spent a few years down in the southwest, and the West Country accent I find quite challenging. I have to say that sometimes when I speak to Scottish people on the phone, I simply don't understand them.
I find the same. So how long have you lived in this country now? And what have been the main differences, cultural or otherwise, that you've noticed?
I've been living in the UK for the past 10 years now. The culture is not very different from France. I mean, it's a global world now, so we watch the same news, we see the same American series, we all watch football. The main difference is that here in the UK, people are absolutely crazy about football, and everybody talks about football all the time, even girls. I love football, but I found that in France, I was the only girl who liked football, whereas here, everybody, young and old, girls and boys, like football. The main difference, really, is food. French people like their food. They like to spend a lot of time eating and talking whilst eating. In particular, eating loads of courses, 6 or 7 courses. For instance, for Christmas, I had 8 courses for my Christmas meal. They like cheese. I love cheese, and it's something that is difficult to find here in the UK.
What's your favourite cheese?
I like Saint-Nectaire, which is from the centre of France, and that's a cow milk cheese. But I also like goat cheese a lot, and my favourite one is called Saint-Maure.
Have you tried Stinking Bishop?
I love Stinking Bishop. I've discovered it a few years ago, and I love it just with bread or sometimes on a jacket potato.
Delicious. So apart from cheese, is there anything you miss about life in France?
I obviously miss my family and friends, but it's not far, so I can easily get on the Eurostar and go back home, or can phone them. It's not that bad. I miss watching a bit of French television. I found French television better than British television. In particular, I'm really interested in politics, and I miss French politics a lot. And I miss watching and playing a sport that is very common on the continent, but not in the UK. It's called handball. And it's very common, and France actually won the gold at the Olympics in 2008, so that shows you how popular it is in France. I used to play it when I was a child and a teenager, but sadly I can't play it here in the UK.
Are there no organisations at all?
I haven't found any, no.
Oh, that's a shame.
The nearest equivalent would be basketball or netball.
And so it seems to be mainly people and politics and lifestyle and things like that. What are your... I know you could talk about this for hours, but what are your primary feelings about the current government in France?
In France, I think they're trying to do a lot, and they're probably trying to do too much at once. And because they did not predict the current crisis, Sarkozy, the French president, I think has now become very unpopular because so many people expected so much from him, and obviously he's only a man, he can't make miracles, and therefore he's become quite unpopular. I have to say that I particularly dislike the way French politics is presented in the British media, because all they talk about is Sarkozy's girls, such as his wife Carla Bruni, and his female ministers, Rachida Dati, who's just had a baby, so the British press is completely overwhelmed with this. Well, if you're a woman, you're allowed to have a baby. I think that there's a big challenge there. I mean, not just in France, but also here in the UK. What are we going to do with this crisis?
Absolutely. So, finally, if you moved back to France, is there anything you would miss about England?
I think so, yes. I think I would miss my nice cup of tea, and in particular the kettle. The concept of putting the kettle on is very British. We don't have kettles in France because we don't drink much tea. I think I will also miss the diligence, is that a word? The fact that the British people follow the rules generally. In France, nobody follows the rules. Everybody's proud to break the rules. And my favourite is the queues at the till in a shop or at a bus stop.
You like those?
I find it absolutely fantastic.
There is order and logic.
Exactly, and I like that.
Marvellous.
I like that about the UK.
Well, thank you very much. It's been lovely chatting with you, Cécile.
Au revoir, Christine.